I still ask you to think twice before you take the plunge. Do not derive comfort from the feeling that you have as your leader, a fighter like myself. Forget me and forget my companions. Fight if you feel that you must resist oppression and injustice. Do not take the plunge lightly. If you fail miserably, you will fail not to rise again for several years. But if you succeed, you will have done much to lay the foundation of Swaraj. Now I am going to ask you to take charge of the resolution. You will move it and you will second and support it. None of us will speak on it. It will be the expression of your own free will and choice. You must bear clearly in mind that except your capacity for suffering and grim determination, you have nothing to fight government's brute strength with. The mightiest tyrant must bend if people are determined to put up with suffering. The question today is not of a few lakhs of rupees, but it is a question of self respect. It is the fundamental principle of government that there can be no taxation without representation. They should do nothing without having had your views in the matter. For this, you will have to be self possessed, resourceful, and patient. Government will try your strength in various ways, offer various inducements, use insidious means to bring about a division in your ranks. But you will have to adhere to your principle of refusal to pay at all costs and hardships. I have suggested a clause in the resolution to the effect that the fight will go on until government appoints an imperial tribunal or revoke the orders of enhancement as arbitrary, unjust, and oppressive. If we can make the government accept this vital principle of an independent tribunal, it is more than any material gain, temporary or permanent. I have nothing more to say. Do what you do with eyes open, with God as witness and fully counting the cost. It is possible that government might pick up the leading men among you first to set an example. Government might first confiscate the lands of those who move the resolution today. If you are sure that these things will leave you unshaken, take up and fight the good fight. For the burnt will have to be borne by them. They will have to see their dear cattle seized before their very eyes. They will have to put up with the repeated attachment parties. And unless they are accustomed to take these things as a matter of course, they might easily betray you. I therefore want as many women to attend these meetings as possible. You must change your ways now. You will have to create an entirely different atmosphere. Have done with your wedding festivities as soon as possible. A people at war with a mighty government cannot afford to indulge in these pastimes. From tomorrow, you might have to keep your doors closed and locked and betake to the fields only to return home in the evening. Government will try to raise people from amongst you to help in the work of attachment. You will see to it that they get none. Throw off your lethargy and apathy. You have to vindicate Gandhiji's choice of your taluka as the scene of his first experiment in mass civic disobedience. You are about to fight freedom's battle for India. You have now to fight the battle, a smaller battle, and prove that you are capable of fighting the bigger one. I am coming to your village straight from the conference because I want to reach as many of you as early as possible. I beseech you to forget your personal differences and petty quarrels. I want you to put an end to your factions and disputes and to make friends of even your bitterest enemies. Only that way can you present a united front. I know that some of you are afraid of your land being confiscated. What is confiscation? Will they take the land away to England? The worst that can happen is that the lands might be transferred to government in their books. But if you are united, you can defy anyone to come forward to cultivate those lands. And rest assured that when you are ready to allow all your land to be confiscated, the whole of Gujarat will appreciate your spirit of self sacrifice. Organize your village, and you will set an example to others. The campaign has begun. Every village must now be an armed camp. The news from every village must reach the taluka headquarters daily and punctually, and every instruction from the headquarters must promptly be obeyed. Discipline and organization mean half the battle. Government have at the most one patel and one talati to every village. For us, every adult in the village must be a volunteer. I see that 15 days have taught you to cast off fear from your hearts. You are, however, not completely free from it. Some traces of fear are still visible. Shake it off. Why need you fear? If anything, the government has cause to fear. No civilized government can govern without the consent of the governed. At the present moment, they govern because your eyes are blindfolded. You are deluded into the belief that they are keeping you in peace and prosperity. It is not a reign of peace, but a reign of fear. You have lost the capacity of righteous indignation against wrong. The absence of it is cowardice. I go about in your villages at the dead of night, sometimes without even once being asked, Halt, who goes there? In these villages, not a dog barks and not a buffalo flourishes its horns at a stranger. It is your acquiescence that has been your undoing. I want to inoculate you with fearlessness. I want to galvanize you into life. I miss in your eyes the flash of indignation against wrong. It is not for you to give vent to wrath. Your pledge restricts you to non-violence, and non-violence excludes anger. The defection of these unfortunate brethren should serve to stiffen your resolve and to warn you for the future. You must not be angry with these two friends who fell prey to the official machinations. They deserve your pity rather than anger. Your fear that you will be called upon to assist in Japti, shake off that fear. You are men, you are not dublas. Spurn that appellation of degradation. Dubla means weak and cowardly. Weak and cowardly are they who would exact labor from you. You are strong enough to labor in the field, strong enough to carry burdens for yourself and for others. How can you be called weak? I am told that Patel from a neighboring village was threatened by the Mahalkari that he will have to carry attached property if he failed to find men to do so. The Patel should not have swallowed the insult. He should have said, It is none of my business. The men in charge refuse to do the dirty work, and so do I. You enjoy a high salary, sir. Rather than ask us to do the dirty job, why not do it yourself? Sisters, I do not like those signs of slavery on your hand and feet. Your heavy brass ornaments accumulate a lot of dirt, produce all sort of skin diseases, and interfere with your free movement. You must shed them. Look at those clean clad happy girls of your own community sitting opposite singing satyagrah songs. Would you not love to look like them? They bathe every day and wash their clothes. They spin and have their own clothes. I am glad you understand the difference. Now that you have joined this movement, you must be proper soldiers. These foreign cloths ill become soldiers. You have strong hands and feet like those khadi clad girls. Why should you not have wheels from the ashram and start spinning? Within a few days, you can have enough for your clothes, and you may not touch drink. Up to now, you have remained aloof, not heeding our advice. But now that you have joined the movement, you ought to have the necessary fitness by abstaining from drink. If anyone is fit to walk with his head erect on this earth, it is the peasant. He is the producer, the others are parasites. But what a sorry plight he has been reduced to. The world depends on you two, the agriculturalist and the laborer. And yet you are the worst abused people on earth. I am grieved at the woeful state of helplessness to which you have been reduced. You shudder at the sight of the worthless government peon who can compel you to do his bidding. The government taxes you according to its sweet will, and you have no voice in it. There is a soil tax and a water tax, a special irrigation tax, and a special subsoil water tax. Even the improvements you make at your cost and by your labor are taxed. You toil in the fields even as you own bullocks do from morning till evening, in biting cold, in scorching heat, and drenching rain. You grapple with scorpions and wade through mud and raise a crop of rice to feed yourself and your children. But even that rice must be taxed. Why are you so fear stricken? Why are you so inarticulate? I feel deeply ashamed and humiliated at your plight. I shall feel myself blessed and all my labors fulfilled when I see you come into your own and walk erect like men. Where is another so honest as a peasant, so free from bad habits and vices, so guileless, so God fearing, living on the sweat of his brow? Why should such a man fear any mortal man? A seeming contradiction, is it not? A man who is so pure and guileless cannot but be fearless. It is a struggle based essentially on truth and non-violence. We must not do anything in resentment or anger. It is a sign of weakness. Our strength lies in cheerfully going through all sufferings that may be imposed on us. I can understand your refusing to assist the officers in Japti work. In fact, it is your duty to do so. But do not refuse them the ordinary amenities of life. They must get whatever they want at market rates. Go on strengthening your caste organization. No one can have anything to say against it. These handful of men who come over here from a land 6,000 miles away rule over us because they have a caste organization of their own. Their close corporation. Their corporation, always relying on brute force, has as its object the exploitation of the weak. Ours has the only object of self-protection. Government wants disturbance, wants to provoke us into violence. Drums and conches have nothing to do with the question of revenue. Let us not quarrel with their notification. They do not harm us. They cannot affect the issue. Refuse to be embarrassed if they try to provoke you. Refuse to submit if they try to crush you. The government has lost its balance. The iron can afford to fling thousands of sparks, not so the hammer. If the hammer got hot, it would burn up its own handle. A government may wax as red hot as it likes. The people cannot afford to do so. And if they retain their equanimity, they are bound to cool the government and beat it into submission and shape. The government is trying its level best to spread as much poison in the taluka as possible through our own men. These men are ours, but beware of them. Like thieves in the night, they are trying to create breaches in our ranks. They are always on the lookout for our weaknesses. They flourish on them. Don't go within miles of them. And even if a handful from amongst you fall victim to their wiles, don't be alarmed. Don't flinch from your resolve. Even a victorious army has its casualty list. and has its deserters. If backlegs are discovered, understand that it is so much dirt and stain washed away. Challenge the government to take up your land and carry it, if they can, to England. Challenge them to surround the taluka with machine guns and aeroplanes. We have no armed force, but we have better and a purer force to pit against it. The force of truth, the force of our allegiance to our pledge. Let them capture the buffaloes and other property. They cannot capture your souls. The infatuation for possessions is no good. How much land does a man require? The Mussalman not more than 2 cubits and a half, and Hindus that much only for a couple of hours. God is always with the right. Reporters, please note it down. The buffaloes are speaking. The government thought that drums would subvert government established by law. These buffaloes, I tell you, are as bad as drums. They are bellowing themselves hoarse to tell you, if you do not know yet, that right and injustice have vanished from the empire. If there are any amongst you who feel any misgiving or are afraid of the fire of repression, they had better go on a pilgrimage or betake themselves to some hill station or breezy seaside place while there is yet time. For let there be no mistake in the matter. As agriculturalist, you know that the dark rain-laden clouds, so welcome to your sight, come only after you have passed through the parching heat of the summer months of Chaitra and Vaishak, and descend only after we have had terrific storms and lightning and peals of thunder which send the skies. Similarly, government is not going to do you justice until it has put you through the fire. It will try to cajole you if you are willing to be cajoled. But if you resist its advances, it has its iron fist ready with which to descend upon you. Similarly, you have to realize on your part that it is not merely yourself that you represent, but you hold in your hands the honor of the whole of India. What is this fear of this will-o'-the-wisp? What is this government? Has anyone seen it? I have never seen it. Does the government mean the Mamlatdar or the Talati or the Patel? Or is it the combination of these all? There is no individual called the Sarkar. Why then should we magnify individuals and make Sarkars of them? Here is his definition of the Amaldar. He who stands by the side of the riot in the hour of his need is an Amaldar. All the rest are Havaldars.